I'd like to call this meeting to order.
Let's go.
This is the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, held on February 5th, 2013 at 6 p.m. at the Public Safety Building. Welcome everyone to our meeting tonight. City Clerk or Deputy Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Alinsky. Here. Councilmember Norman. Here. Councilmember Pratt.
Here.
Councilmember Howergy. Here. Councilmember Dowling. Here. Vice Mayor Pfeiffer.
Here.
Mayor Jones.
Here.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And we have Marie Carpenter with us tonight to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And she's the supervisor of the 911 department. So if you would come up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we have a certificate for you. I'd just like to thank you for exhibiting good citizenship tonight. You're welcome. The next item is a brief summary of current events by the mayor, city council, and/or city manager. The public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action on any matter brought up during this summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. Mr. Bartosh.
Madam Mayor, council members, just a couple of quick items. I'm pleased to report to the council that the police department just completed their UCR, their Uniform Crime Report for 2012, and in our Part 1 crimes, we saw about a 11% decrease in crime. So that's a good news item. Just a reminder to the public that we're going to do an e-waste pickup or disposal on February 23rd up behind the wastewater treatment plant off of Mingus Avenue from 9 to 1 p.m. And again, that's February 23rd. And we also this year had 210 participants in the Looking Good Cottonwood program. That's kind of our own Biggest Loser program here in Cottonwood. So congratulations to all those people as well. That's it, Madam Mayor.
Great. Council? Mr. Pratt.
Yeah, I did attend the latest musical event at Mingus High School, and I think our students did a great job. I think it was called Broadway Across America, and it was terrific. Really enjoyed it. And great to see so many young people involved in that kind of activity.
Thank you. Excellent. Any other council members? Okay, I just wanted to remind everyone that we're having, not we, but the Adopt for Life Center for Animals is having a spaghetti and meatballs dinner, and this will help with spay and neuter expenses at the shelter. It will be held February 16th, 2013. The doors will open at 5 p.m. with dinner starting at 5:30 p.m. and the last plate served at 7 p.m. And it will be held at the Cottonwood Recreation Center, 150 South 6th Street. Tickets are $10 per adult and $5 per child up to 11 years. Tickets are for sale at the Adopt for Life Center for Animals, the Pa Boutique Thrift Store, and Cottonwood City Hall. Dinner will include pasta, and gluten-free will be available. Meat and meatless sauce, dinner salad, bread and butter, dessert. They will also have a wine bar, silent auction, raffles, and more. So come and support this important event in our community. Also on February 7th, we'll be having, we had a summit last Saturday to talk about a teen center. And let's see, Vice Mayor was there, and were there other two? And Mr. Alinsky, Councilmember Alinsky were there. And Doug, our city manager, Doug Bartosh. So On the 7th, which is this Thursday at 4 p.m. in this building, the team that I signed up for, which is called Teamwork Makes the Dream Work, will be talking about collaboration, government support, business support, integration of existing resources, advertising, parent involvement, building on current services, faith-based support, community support, outreach, community education, and follow-through. And we have about 6 people on this team, but we would invite anyone in the community who would like to be involved with this to also attend. That would be in this room on Thursday the 7th at 4 p.m. And I just want to thank Yavapai Broadcasting and Ryan Nichols, who's here with us tonight, for setting up the recording this for the citizens of the Verde Valley. It is on Channel 2 all over the Verde Valley, Village of Oak Creek and Camp Verde and everywhere it's recorded, along with all of our other programs like Inside Cottonwood. And this is just something that Cottonwood has done to try to become more transparent and help our public be able to be involved in council meetings through television. You can also see the shows on the internet if you don't have Channel 2 cable TV. You can see it on the internet at verdevalleytv.com. But I do again want to thank Yavapai Broadcasting, because if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have this nice microphone system here so that you could all hear us so well. On January 21st, I attended the Youth Commission meeting. That was on the Martin Luther King holiday, which is when they meet on holidays. And they agreed and made plans to participate in the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans event. We're planning on March 30th. And they're going to work with the high school art students to create posters, and even offered prize money of $200 to encourage participation in the poster contest. They're also going to try to teach or educate students about the meaning of the Vietnam War and what that meant to our veterans coming home. On January 24th, Councilmember Norman and I attended the Arizona Association of Economic Development Legislative Luncheon with Casey Rooney, and I was able to meet our new representative Bob Thorpe from Flagstaff, and I found him to be a very good listener on behalf of all of the citizens of our area. I also spoke to Brenda Barton and Senator Chester Crandall. I talked about the sweeping of HERF funds and how that is impacting our ability to maintain our local street systems. This year, the legislature will sweep $127 million of cities and towns funding to pay for DPS, and that's a little bit less than they have been sweeping. So I guess you can look at it good news, bad news. Due to funding and financing trends, preliminary work on the state's 5-year plan to update state streets indicates that $350 million in previously planned highway construction and maintenance activity in 2016 and 2017 will need to be eliminated. So when you hit that pothole on the interstate, that's what's causing some of our streets issues. Eliminating the transportation funding raids is vital for developing and maintaining the quality infrastructure needed to protect public safety and the environment, support jobs and economic growth, and enhance the overall quality of life for we Arizonans. I also discussed with them the governor's proposed changes in the transaction privilege tax. While cities and towns agree mostly with what the governor is recommending, there are a couple of changes that are very concerning. And one is regarding construction contracting, where sales tax would be paid where they purchase the lumber. And that could be out of state, rather than in the area where the construction impacts citizens. So we would receive nothing, and yet the construction in our city would impact us. Also, we use our construction sales tax monies to pave neighborhood streets, so that would be a big issue for Cottonwood. So hopefully citizens will also contact your legislators in the governor's office and talk about this. On January 31st, the mayor, council, city manager, and staff held a coffee talk for the Cottonwood Ranch neighborhood, and we discussed the general plan, water issues, and answered questions asked by the neighbors, and I felt that it was a very productive discussion. I met yesterday with Prescott Mayor Marlon Kirkendall and Yavapai County President Penny Wills to discuss regional economic development, and I was able to share the Verde Valley successes in working regionally with tourism, the wine industry, and the Yavapai College Southwest Wine Center, and the college's efforts and assistance with economic development and great partnerships is greatly appreciated. All right, the next item is a proclamation, prescription drug abuse reduction. Whereas citizens of the city of Cottonwood are affected by prescription drug abuse, and whereas the U.S. Center for Disease Control declared prescription drug abuse an epidemic with far-reaching effects upon the citizens of Cottonwood, impacting individuals, families, friends, adults, and children alike. And whereas it is estimated that 40 deaths per day nationwide are due to prescription drugs, exceeding the number of deaths related to heroin and cocaine combined, and for the first time in history, drug poisoning deaths are the #1 cause of accidental deaths in America. And whereas prescription drug abuse is directly associated with crimes against persons and property, physical illness, addiction, and accidental death, economic loss, child abuse, destruction of families, driving while impaired, and drug-related vehicular collisions. And whereas the resources and capacity of the courts and detention system, hospital emergency rooms, and providers of behavioral health services are severely stretched by the proliferation of prescription drug abuse within the city of Cottonwood. And whereas prescription drug abuse is a community problem that is best addressed through a variety of strategies that bring together education, prevention, treatment, and criminal justice resources in a coordinated, individualized approach. And whereas Yavapai County has been selected for the Governor's Office for Children, Youth, and Families and the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission to implement the Prescription Drug Reduction Initiative. And whereas the City of Cottonwood has united against prescription drug abuse in partnership with MatForce. And whereas under the Prescription Drug Abuse Reduction Initiative, Yavapai County and MatForce have implemented strategies to reduce prescription drug misuse and the consequences associated with this epidemic to improve the health of our communities and families. Therefore, the City of Cottonwood proclaims support for the Prescription Drug Abuse Reduction Initiative. And if Vice Mayor Pfeiffer and our City Manager Doug Bartosh could come and receive the proclamation. I would just like to thank both of you for your work on this MatForce committee and your leadership. And as we learned, we have had a great reduction in our Part 1 crimes due to MatForce's efforts. So keep up the great work. There's more to always be done. Thank you. You're welcome. The next item is call to the public. This portion of the agenda is set aside for the public to address the council regarding an item that is not listed on the agenda for discussion. So if there's something you want to talk about that's not on the agenda, this would be your time to present that to the council. It's good to know, though, that the council cannot engage in discussion regarding any item that's not officially listed on the agenda for discussion or action. Comments are limited to a 5-minute time period.
Good evening, Council. My name is Adrienne Martin, and I am the Team Leader and Outreach Coordinator for the Yavapai County AmeriCorps project. The last time I stood before you, I was actually receiving the proclamation declaring Martin Luther King Day as a day of service here in Cottonwood, and I thought it would be prudent to give you guys a little bit of an update and tell you how that project went. Overall, for the entire Yavapai County, we were able to get 661 community members to come out and volunteer, 363 of which were here in the Verde Valley. So we beat Prescott this year.
All right.
This resulted in about 80 participants signing up for service projects, as 59 of those happened to be students or children. So not only did they outnumber the adults, but they also did a lot of the heavy lifting. They dug ditches for Montezuma as well. They were writing letters to troops. I mean, these kids came out in full force. Not only was it such a successful event, we also got Channel 12 News to come up here and recognize the Verde Valley as a big force here in Arizona for Martin Luther King Day. And we've already started planning for next year, hoping to encompass more of the Verde Valley. So, thank you so much.
Thank you for that update and report, and all the great work you do every year on Martin Luther King Day. Yes.
Hi, good evening. Connie Diedrich with the Boys and Girls Club. Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members, thank you for your time this evening. For over 15 years, the Boys and Girls Club has been located in Old Town. Over that time, thousands of young people have passed through our doors. Our mission is to inspire and enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to become productive, caring, and responsible citizens. Our organization fills a much-needed service in this community on a daily basis, which promotes youth development through core programs that are proven to encourage academic success, creativity, fitness, good character, and citizenship. We take care of a precious resource, our young people, every day. Young people that will someday grow up to be the mayor of our community or another community, a council member, a doctor, nurse, a waitress, cashier, lawyer, firefighter, police officer. The list is endless. Due to the economy and other factors, we face the battle that other businesses and nonprofits alike have faced, operating capital to run our day-to-day operations. Last year, we received many grants that assisted us in running our programs, purchasing new computers and sports equipment, as well as other supplies needed for our staff to run fun and educational programs. For the past year and a half, we have been restructuring to reduce and eliminate overhead. We've had to make difficult choices, one of the most difficult being that we had to close the Sedona Club. It wasn't that we didn't have members, it was because from a business standpoint, we served 40% more youth here in the Cottonwood area and picked up from 8 different schools here versus only 2 in Sedona. By closing Sedona, we knew there would be some ramifications. However, to continue operating those 2 clubs would have been to raise over $500,000 in an economy that was and continues to be strained. There have been lost donations because of that choice, and most recently the possible loss of our main event, the Sedona Taste. For over 17 years, the Boys and Girls Club has put on the Sedona Taste, an event well received by many from all over the state and beyond. The event is so well established that the Sedona Chamber, knowing the number of people that attend, decided they want to somehow keep that going. From what I found out, they have wanted to team with the YMCA, who replaced some of the services in the teen center. They have renamed the event the Celebration of Sedona. In the past, this event has raised us over the years anywhere from a net of $50,000 to $65,000, which has covered up to 4 months of our operating capital. This was a huge blow to us. So we as an organization stand before you today because we need your help. As leaders of our community, we are looking to you to help us to continue to provide services for those who need us most. We've seen what this community can do when it comes together for a great cause. I respectfully request to be placed on the next agenda to discuss further financial assistance and how we can come together to ensure that our kids have a place to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you sign a form?
No, I can.
I was looking through here looking
Oh,
for
sorry,
your
I didn't know I
name,
had to. I
Yes, if you
apologize.
would, please.
Okay.
You could just drop it off with Doug
Okay,
there.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I had, let's see, Joyce Holiday. Do you want to talk about something that's not on the agenda? No, number 5, excuse me. Okay, so is there anyone else who would like to speak at the call to the public tonight that hasn't signed a form? Is there anybody I'm missing on the forms that wanted to speak to the call of the public? Okay, if not, we'll close the floor to the public. The next item is Employee of the Quarter, Iris Dobler, of Human Resources Manager. We have Mr. Rodriguez to present this information to us tonight.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. One of the reasons I submitted this request was because one of the things that we worked on in the last few months was the 2012 compensation study. And just wanted to give everyone a heads up on this because this is one of those items that can be very, very tedious and requires a lot of monitoring. And fortunately for our department and the city is that we have Iris Dobler on staff, and she stayed on this project, made sure it moved forward as quickly as we possibly could. She attended a lot of meetings with the general managers and public safety to make sure that we got plenty of feedback as far as job descriptions and making sure that they were accurate, making sure that we got a very good set of parameters so we could go ahead and make sure that we were comparably setting up the compensation study so we could compare that to other job descriptions in the area that would be fitting. We also looked at she was provided us with a lot of summary information so that we could go ahead and not have to go through the piles and piles of paper that public sector personnel consultant was piling on her desk. So that was really appreciated. And the impact of it was that we were able to, one, not spend the entire amount of what we originally had budgeted for. So that was good for the city. But more importantly was that we got a very comprehensive study, and we were able to implement it rather quickly and with very little pushback from staff because they already knew about it. They had been waiting for it for nearly 5 years, I believe. So overall, I'm really proud that, and some of you know Iris, really proud that she is on staff and that she is so dedicated to our personnel, and that she took a lot of her own personal time as well as her own work time to make sure that this project went off without a hitch. With that.
Okay, so Vice Mayor, do you want to? And Mr. Rodriguez and City Manager. So, we would like to present this plaque to you. I can't think of anyone who deserves it more. I've watched you from afar and how hard you work for the employees and the citizens of Cottonwood. And my colleagues and I would just like you to know that you are very much appreciated. Thank you.
Good job, Iris.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
You're welcome. Next, we have the Quarterly Safety Award, and Jeff Boyd is Fire Lieutenant, and he is receiving this award, and I believe Chief Kirkendall would like to present some information as to why this award is being presented.
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Jeff was nominated for this award because taking on some greatly additional responsibilities to his. For the last number of years, he's been doing our mapping program, coordinating our maps, making sure that all our maps, and as you know in Cottonwood, our streets change, and we add streets, and things happen certainly in subdivisions, and those to make sure that our maps are all up. But Jeff had noticed that there was another problem, and that's that where the addresses actually fall into that map grid. And so just recently he took on a project and the responsibility for that project to make sure that our addressing is correct. Now, our addresses in the past have been given out through planning and zoning and building department, but there are places where people took on and kind of just made their own addresses up and have done certain things. We've had problems in the grid of where addressings are according to what the map grid should be. Jeff's taken on and went throughout the city and found where there's discrepancies in addressing on either businesses, residences, and such, where they don't fit the map grid as they should, which could hamper our ability to respond in an emergency. And he's working now as a liaison with the county personnel that are responsible for all of the mapping and or all the addressing in the county to ensure that addresses where they need to be changed are changed to where they should be in the grid, places where addressing new occupancies coming in and need to be addressed properly, so that when they fit on the grid and in the mapping for us, so that when we respond to us and police, that we can get there in the quickest time, therefore enhancing our ability to provide that rapid emergency response that everybody wants to have. I've probably noticed some of the places in town where the addresses don't seem to make sense. Well, we're trying to work through that, and as we need to, and working with the people that live there and that, changing it where it makes more sense and fits where they should be and what block they should be in, and addressed off the correct streets and such. So he's taken that project on and took that on a great deal of extra responsibility, and again, already has found a number of addresses and places where I think by changing or fixing addresses, or at least making them more visible and such on our maps, we'll be able to get there quicker and do a better job. With that, Jeff, would you come on?
Any words of wisdom?
Know where your address is.
All right. And from looking at the mayor and council point of view, watching firefighter Boyd, I guess it's Lieutenant Boyd now, right? But still firefighting and doing emergency services. Even, you know, though we're not his direct boss, we can see that he always goes above and beyond what he's asked to do. And the city council, and I'm sure the city managers appreciate you very much. So thank you for all you do for the city and making us safer with this program you're running. There's the best part.
Hopefully you'll share all that with us.
Treat time, right?
Yeah. Eating my lunch tomorrow. For the next day.
Lieutenant Boyd, I hate to tell you, but the chief already has plans for your money. Okay. Approval of the minutes, the regular meeting of December 18th, 2012, and the meeting of January 15th, 2013.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Dowling.
On the 18th meeting, it says I was absent, but in the minutes, I interacted, so I think I might have been absent the week previous.
Okay.
I was there.
I did note that you were absent for one meeting, so if the record could show that he was present for that meeting, you might check a different one for his absence. Okay, do I entertain a motion?
I move to approve the minutes. Second.
Okay, the vice mayor made the motion. Councilmember Norman seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item, item 10, is a presentation regarding the Cottonwood Emergency Notification System. And we would have Chief Fanning to explain that item to us.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm going to be brief. I'm going to turn this over to Marie Carpenter, my communications supervisor and the person that's actually running the project. Our emergency SENS, as we call it, the Cottonwood Emergency Notification System, is a program that we work together with the utilities department to bring here to the city of Cottonwood. It's used by both the utilities department and the police department and the fire department if they need it. It's a great program for the community. It allows the community members and people outside of the community. It does not necessarily mean it has to be Cottonwood only. Anybody outside Clarkdale, Jerome, even in the Verde Villages can opt into this program to get notified. It's a great program that allows us to do a lot of things. One of the things that's really great for us is, if you remember right, last year the event we had at the Cottonwood Middle School, One of the problems we had is after we went into lockdown, remembering everybody we told to lock their doors and calling them all. And I think it was Buena Vista Children's Services that was, what, 6 o'clock, Mr. Bartosh, when they called us, asking if they could let their kids out of school because we forgot to tell them. So this program allows us to avoid that scenario in the future. And with that, I will turn it over to Marie, and she can explain it to you a little bit more.
Thank you, Chief Fanning. Madam Mayor and Council, thank you for allowing me to present this. Is my voice loud enough?
Probably not.
Do I need more voice? Okay.
They need to
Thank
record
you. Thank you for allowing me to present, Madam Mayor and Council, this notification system which we've recently acquired and added to our family of technology which is ever expanding in this day and age. The Cottonwood Emergency Notification System, as we've branded it, is a product called WENS by Inspiron Logistics. And we did purchase it with the understanding and knowledge that we need to be able to communicate rapidly with our community in this ever-changing time. What this system is basically it's a web-based application that we've acquired that allows us to send out mass communication using SMS. And for those of us who have cell phones and text message, that's exactly what it is text message. And also voice communication. We use this to send out emergency notifications, mass notifications that may or may not be of an emergent nature, and also for the internal operations. We started this up in 3 phases. And we first identified that we had an internal need for this. So what we did is we went ahead and set it up for our own internal uses at the City of Cottonwood. What this means is I can use this to set up specialized groups. Maybe a group just for the city council members, maybe a group just for the police department, maybe a group just for the fire department or the public works department. And it's an ever-evolving system. We also realized that we needed to have the ability to mobilize our manpower rapidly. And as Chief Fanning pointed out, the school incident where we had to lock down several schools, we needed to not only notify the community of the incident, we needed to rapidly mobilize our people to handle the incident. And when you have a large-scale incident, you need to be able to manage that incident, and through communications and rapid communications, we're able to do that. The second phase of this was the 911 database download. And what this does is it takes your home phone information through CenturyLink and it ties that phone number to your address. That database has already been created if you have a home phone number. What we did is we downloaded that information to use geographic information to send out notifications to home phones. And then we have the third phase, which is the citizen opt-in. And if you haven't opted in, there's a form here at the table next to Kyla that you can pick up. If there aren't any more, I will be happy to make copies. And you can also go on the internet, and I'm going to show you on the next couple of slides. When we did the internal operations, we looked at things within our own police department, such as the SWAT team, our accident investigation team, our command staff notification. So when we have that big incident, such as a threat at one of our schools, we need to mobilize our people very quickly. A large-scale accident, we have to call sometimes people from home, and this way we can do that very quickly. We also work with volunteer organizations like Tip of AZ, and we can call them out very rapidly to assist us. And as I mentioned, with landline telephones, these are your home phones, not your cell phones. You are able to actually receive notifications based on your address. And with this system right here, we can actually customize it. This is just an example. Press 1 to acknowledge message. Press 2 for requires assistance. If we had some kind of incident based on a large emergency that required maybe an evacuation notice, we could actually send out a notification requesting that you press 1 to acknowledge the message, press 2 if you require special assistance. Maybe somebody needs assistance evacuating because they're maybe an invalid in their home. We could actually receive a response from you just by pressing 1 or 2. And then, of course, I talked about the opt-in. We have the forms up here at the desk next to Kyla. You can fill this in if you don't have internet access or don't prefer to use the internet. And then you can also go to the City of Cottonwood website and just click on the link and fill it out. It's very, very simple. And you can opt in to receive messages also based on your address because not everybody has a home phone anymore. As a matter of fact, last statistics, 70% of all 911 calls originate from cell phones. People are dumping their home phones. Plus citizens are out mobile with their cell phones. But you can opt in to receive text messages, voice messages, email messages, pager messages, if anybody still carries a pager. By opting in, you can also receive additional alerts. We partner with, in this program, the National OSHA, okay, I'm a communications specialist, NOAA, and we get weather alerts, and you can actually get utility updates. Maybe there's a boil alert because there's a problem with our water system, or maybe there's a massive road closure that we need to notify you about. And I mentioned the forms are available. You can also go to the City of Cottonwood website or go directly to this website here and just fill in the form. It's very simple to fill in. And of course, you can always contact the police department if you have any questions about what you're opting in to do. One of the things I mentioned was that we can manage a full-scale incident with this, and we can use this to receive your responses. We can receive the officer's responses, and we can actually export this into Excel, and we can use this as part of our incident management document. This is very hard to see, I understand, but it's a call out of our accident team to an accident, and it shows all of the officers that I called to the accident, what time they were called, and it also shows what their response and ETA is back to me, and I can print that off and actually include that as part of our incident report. When we're talking about the citizens, same thing. You can respond back to us, yes, I got the message, yes, I need help evacuating, or whatever the situation is. And I'm just going to take a very brief moment. I know we have a lot of things on our agenda tonight. I'm actually log into the system, and I'm going to send out an alert. Now, while this is loading up, one of the things that Chief reminded me to show, and I will show when I, oh, here we are, is our geographic possibilities. And let me do that first, and then I will send out an actual alert. I don't want to send out an alert to the entire community.
The thing that she's showing you here, the circle, that would be used if, let's say, we have a chemical spill from one of the facilities and the fire department needs to notify everybody within a half mile. The fire department has the ability to say, okay, this chemical needs to be evacuated a half mile. We can draw a circle a half mile around or 3/4 of a mile to be safe and say, okay, everybody in this area gets notified immediately and we can evacuate it. Or additionally, as we were talking about the school, we can notify everybody in that area. We have a situation at the school. And the streets department, again, or the utilities department, they have a water contamination in an area, we can notify them. It gives us the ability to, we can go as big as we want or as small as we want. We also can eliminate a house if we have a person in a house that's shooting and we don't want to call him and tell him we're outside. We can actually remove his house from the circle and do everything around it. It gives us many opportunities to do many different things to notify our public what we're doing, and so they understand why we're running around outside and they're not walking up and asking us.
So I can set that up just like that and send out, sorry. I can set it up just like that and I can send out that message right there to everybody within that circle to let them know that an evacuation order or suggestion has been placed in effect because of a hazardous material spill. Press 1 I've acknowledged the message, or press 2, I require assistance, and the police department will see that, or whoever the public safety employee is who sent that out will get that information and be able to respond to it accordingly. Oh, yeah, thank you. Chief just reminded me, this is also something we can work with our interpreters. We have a partnership with Language Line, as well as within this company, to send these messages out in various languages if necessary. When people go in and they opt in on the internet or through these forms, they can make a provision stating they would require those messages to come to them in a specific language. Okay. And I know we're supposed to turn our cell phones off, but I think I have a couple of city council members who have their cell phones on. And now we know our vice mayor's ringtone. Okay, Vice Mayor Pfeiffer, would you please read your message?
This is a test message from the SEND system. Thank you.
And you got it just that fast, and you receive instruction or some kind of information, but you are now in communication with what is going on.
Great.
Now, that is great that you're in communication, but now it's not just one way, it's also back to me.
So I hit a 1 or a 2?
You don't have to for this, no. It's not set up, just for the demonstration.
Okay.
So did Roger just get that message at home too?
Yeah.
No. No, he doesn't have the same phone number.
I didn't bring my phone tonight, so Paul got my message.
He's looking at it.
Yeah.
So when those messages go out, I receive a notification that those messages weren't out. If you were to reply to that, I would receive a reply in my alert log, and then I would be able to actually respond to your request. And we can also export it into Excel and keep track of everything that's going on. So if there aren't any questions from council or Madam Mayor, that concludes my presentation. Again, there's handouts or forms there if you would like to opt in. And again, my name is Marie Carpenter. I'm the communications supervisor here at Cottonwood PD. Contact me anytime with any questions or if you'd like a demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm real excited about this program.
Yes, it is a very good program. I'd also like to remind everybody, once you opt in, if you, for whatever reason, you decide you do not want the messages, you can opt out just as easy. If you decide that you're getting messages you don't want, you can change what messages you get, when you get them, and everything else. So you're not stuck getting text messages from us forever.
All right.
So.
Thank you. Should add to the safety of our citizens.
It should.
Okay. Thank you very much, Marie.
But hope no teenagers get hold of that.
Comments regarding items listed on the agenda are limited to a 5-minute time period per speaker. Old business, there is none. Consent agenda, no consent agenda. New business, the following items are for council discussion, consideration, and possible legal action. Resolution number 2678, appointing a member to the city's personnel board. And we have Iris Dobler.
Madam Mayor, Council. First, before I introduce the 3 applicants from the public, I'd like to have the 3 employees who have already been voted onto this board for the next 2 years to stand, and I'd like to introduce them. Casey Gilmore. Casey's been with the city about 4 years. He's currently working in our wastewater plant as an operator 1. Vanessa Ward. is our library manager. Vanessa's been here 18 years, and I think everybody probably knows Vanessa. Jim Wixom. Jim has been with the city 15 years. He's in Public Works, and he's a Public Works and Utilities specialist. And they have been voted in by popular vote of the employees. So they will be on the board along with whoever is voted in tonight from the public.
Congratulations.
Steve Dockeray, and most of you probably know Steve much better than I do. Steve has applied for membership or to be voted in on the Personnel Board. He has a BS in education. He says he's been an educator for 30 plus years and is now retired. He's served on numerous boards over the last 40 years, and some of the organizations that he belongs or has belonged to are the Vacate School Board, ALCS School Board, Cottonwood City Council, State Career and Technology Board. Steve, would you please stand and let the public see you and the council?
Thank you.
Ed Kyler is currently on the Personnel Board and has been on it since 2002, and he's also on the Planning and Zoning Commission for the city. He went to Arizona State University, had 40 years in law enforcement, and has been on the Personnel Board now 8 years. Ed, would you please stand? John Thornberry has a BA in economics, and he is currently one of our part-time bus drivers with the transit system. And because we did not allow or make provision for our part-time employees to be voted on as employee representatives, he asked whether he could be applying as a representative from the public, and we allowed him to do that. He's been in the petroleum marketing industry for about 30 years and has served on various boards and committees and worked with customer concerns covering many areas of dispute. So he felt that he would be interested in serving on this board also. Council, do you have questions you'd like to ask of any of them? I'm sorry, John, would you stand? John Thornberry. Thank you.
If each applicant would like to come up and say a few words to help the council and the public know a little bit more. I mean, we've seen your application, but the public hasn't. So if each one of you, Mr. Dockery, you want to start? Would just tell us your qualifications and why you want to serve.
I've always been an individual who likes to be involved in the community. I've been here as part of this community since 1969. I've served on numerous boards, still serve on 2 school boards. Felt like that I have worked with individuals enough to where I could be a good individual to serve on the Personnel Board, and thought it was an excellent opportunity for me to serve here in the city.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kyler?
Mayor, Council, my name is Ed Kyler. Some of you do know me. I have been on the Personnel Board for quite some time, and I have been chairman most of the time. I would just like to have one more term maybe before I decide to retire and collect whatever retirement funds have been set aside for me. Having been on the board for quite a long time, and having been through several employee appeals from disciplinary action and so forth, I feel I'm well qualified to continue on the board. And there's no question. Any questions?
Any questions, Council?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your service. Mr. Thornberry?
Mayor, council members, I would like this opportunity to serve a little bit for the city. I've enjoyed my time in Cottonwood. I would like to give a new input into maybe some of the ways things are done and disputes are handled by the city. I have had a bit of experience mainly in the commercial business with disputes among many distributors. I spent most of my time in the wholesale marketing of petroleum products, and you can get a little few debates about areas, territory, pay, etc. I'm known to half of the town as John Thornberry, the other half knows me as Mike, so I don't care how I get the vote, just as long as I get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. And of course, we have two openings tonight to serve on the Personnel Board. And whoever the council picks, I just want to know the person that doesn't get chosen. We'll keep your application on file for 6 months, and if something comes up, we will be giving you a call and giving you another opportunity. And I just want to say we have many, many boards and commissions. And right now, we need some more applications from our citizens. So there may be other opportunities also for you to serve the citizens of Cottonwood. And with that, I'd entertain a motion. Yes, Vice Mayor?
I've worked with Ed on the Personnel Board for I don't know how long, and he's run the meetings very well. He's there all the time. So I would like to nominate Ed for one of the position 2678, resolution number 2678, inserting Mr. Ed Kyler.
Second.
Okay, so the Vice Mayor made the motion, and Mr. Pratt seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And with that, I would like to make a motion to appoint Steve Dockery on resolution number 2679.
Second.
The mayor made the motion. Mr. Pratt, who seconded it first? I think Mr. Pratt seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. City Clerk, Deputy Clerk, please read resolutions number 2678 and resolution number 2679, inserting the proper names.
Resolution number 2678, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona, appointing Ed Kyler, a member of the city's personnel board, and establishing his term of office. And resolution number 2679, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona, appointing Steve Dockery, a member of the city's personnel board, and establishing his term of office. Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. So thank you, gentlemen, all of you, all the applicants. The next item is the Old Town, excuse me, if it's okay with the council, if it's the council's pleasure, I would like to move up item number, hang on just a second. 6? Item number, no. Hang on. I should have memorized the item number. Oh, item number 8, the presentation and acceptance of the city's comprehensive annual financial report for fiscal year ending June 30th, and the reason being that we have folks that have a long trip home tonight here with us tonight. So if it's the council's pleasure, we'll move up item number 8. And Mr. Rodriguez would present that item.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Every year about this time, we come to Council. Traditionally, in the past, I've been doing these particular presentations. Our new auditors for this year were gracious enough to come up here. I'm sure I'm going to get billed for it, but nonetheless, they'll be coming up here to do the presentation. We have with us today Megan, I'm probably going to butcher your name wherever there you are. Lawston. And then we also have Michael Lazan, both CPAs from the firm of Heinfeld, Meach and Company. They'll be making the presentation this year. For the most part, just want to give you a heads up, a lot of the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, still has the 3 basic sections, which is your introductory section that introduces the reader to the report, introduces the letters of transmittal and so forth. Has a financial section that has the management discussion and analysis of basic financial statements, schedule of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. And then lastly, has a pretty extensive statistical section. It's updated on an annual basis, and it has to comply with GASB 34. Has numerous tables of unaudited data depicting the financial history of the city. So we also want to mention that this particular document is posted up on our website, and it's got a lot of great information. We'd really, it'd be really nice for the public to go ahead and log on to our city website and pull these documents out. We have a wealth of, we have a transparency page that has budgets and CAFRs and such, and it's pretty extensive. So if anyone's care to, it is on the Cottonwood website, and with and I have the auditors go ahead and make the presentation. Any questions you have, both them and I will go ahead and answer.
Thank you very much.
Megan. Michael.
It's Megan and Michael. Megan L. and Michael L. How's that?
Yeah, it's no relation, just happens to be that way. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for allowing us to come and present. We always appreciate the opportunity to come and present all the hard work that went into this. I want to start out by thanking Mr. Rodriguez and all of the staff involved in the finance department. We come and interrupt their lives for up to 2 weeks, maybe even more, and they're really appreciative and very considerate and always willing to help us and provide the documentation we need for the audit. So without further ado, I'll kind of go in and start do an introduction on what the purpose of the audit is and talk briefly about the financials, some summary, and then Megan's going to briefly talk about a few areas as well. So the purpose of our audit is to provide an opinion on the materiality of your financial statements to determine if your financials are materially correct. And the good news is they are. You were issued an unqualified audit opinion on your financial statements, on your report, which is the highest audit opinion we can give. So that's all the hard work of Mr. Rodriguez and everyone involved that backs up all the numbers in this report.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's very good. And we also conduct what's called a single audit because the city receives and expends over $500,000 of federal funds. There's another audit added on top of that, which just deals with the federal compliance and looking at the materiality of federal compliance. And again, although there were some findings, we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. Overall, there was again an unqualified opinion issued on that as well. So again, our highest opinion. So that's also a good thing for the city as well. It shows that the money is being spent in accordance. And then we also, as required by the state, we look at the HERF program, which is your Highway User Revenue Fund. We look at that program as well, and we also review the expenditure limitation report to make sure the city doesn't overexpend what's allowable. One thing I wanted to point out as well, the report that's issued for the 21st year, which was last year, received the Award of Excellence, and they'll be applying for the 22nd year in a row, which I would assume they would get it as well. So that's also a good thing.
It is.
So I wanted to just kind of point out and talk about just a few areas. The first one being the general fund, which is the main operating fund of the city. There was a decrease of about 9% in the carryover, the ending fund balance, so the carryover into the next fiscal year. And the main reason for that was the city had some increased capital outlay expenses for vehicles, machinery, equipment, kind of focusing on some of the highway and streets, and also police and safety. So there were some increased capital type expenses for the 11-12 fiscal year, which is the year we were auditing. There was also a decrease in the HERF fund, which is the Highway User Revenue Fund, of about $1 million from the previous fiscal year. And as you mentioned, Ms. Mayor, that was a direct result of the state cutting the revenues received for that. So unfortunately, whatever the state decides also gets pushed down on you as well. And the other one we wanted to point out specifically was a reduction in the water sewer funds of about $600,000. And that was mainly due to the sewer operating at a loss.
And I highlighted that. That really jumped out at me.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. And Megan's going to talk next about a few areas as well.
Thanks, Mike, and thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. So the other portion of our audit, outside of opining on the financial statements and the city's compliance with federal compliance requirements, is looking at the city's internal controls and any items that we might note there. We don't offer an opinion on the internal control structure of the city, but we do note items as we are auditing that would be items that could use improvement. So I'll just talk briefly about the items that we noted. These are included in the city's single audit report, as well as a management letter that was issued or will be issued, excuse me. Those items are in draft form. What you're looking at now is the CAFR, and what I'll be talking about is items that I would imagine, be adopting at a later meeting. So the items that we noted, first of all, related to the financial statements, was an overall looking at the segregation of duties in the finance office. Obviously, with limited staff, there's also limited resources to be able to segregate duties. And also, some of the more notable items related to issues or difficulties with the current financial system that's being used, and I understand that the city is in the process of implementing a new financial system. So hopefully these items will be addressed, and management has developed a corrective action plan, and that is included in the single audit report as well, management's corrective action plan related to that item. The next three items related to the single audit report relate to the federal compliance pieces. And the first one relates to suspension and debarment. And this is a check that the city is required to do to make sure that the vendors it's dealing with are not suspended or debarred from receiving federal funds. Most likely, those types of vendors are going to be terrorist organizations or organizations that I doubt the city is dealing with, but there is a required process in place to perform that check. The next item related to the requirement for physical inventory of federal assets. Federal dollars require that there be a physical inventory of all of the city's assets that are purchased with those dollars every 2 years. And then on the financial statement side, we like to see that done every 3 years, and we've noted that the city has been unable to do a physical inventory at this time. The last item relates to discrepancies on the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, and that again is a limitation of the city's system's financial reporting, current financial reporting system, and its ability to track grants effectively. And so hopefully with the new system in place, I would expect to see some improvements there as well. The last item that we noted in the audit related to exceptions was related to timeliness of paying some additional duties that were performed. The last item I wanted to bring to your attention relates to the debt coverage ratios of the city. That can be found on page 100 of your comprehensive annual financial report. The city is subject to 3 coverage ratios related to its different types of debts. The city has what are called water revenue bonds, and the coverage ratio that is required by those bond documents is 1.25. Currently, the city's coverage ratio, which is the net water revenues over the debt service requirements, is 0.96, so it is below the required debt coverage requirement. And that is actually also a decrease from the prior year of 1.16 coverage. And I did want to note that the last time the city met this coverage ratio was in 2008. The general obligation bonds of the city also have debt coverage ratios, which would relate to the sales tax of the city, and the sales tax of the city related to its debt service requirements on its general obligation bonds have a coverage ratio of 66.75, so that's very good. and also an increase from the prior year. Related to the GATA, or General Arizona Development Authority loans that the city holds, the debt coverage ratio in that instance also saw an increase from 5.06 to 5.2. So saw an increase there as well. So again, we thank you for your time and attention. I know that financial matters are not always the most exciting, but we do appreciate your time and attention, and are open to any questions that you might have.
Questions from the council? I think the message that I'm hearing is the concern about water and wastewater rates, and we continue to struggle with that. It's never easy to raise rates during difficult times, but as you said, we're not meeting our bond covenants, and it's something that the council will have to talk about in the near future. So, any questions from members of the public? If not, we'd like to say thank you and have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, item number 3 is the lease agreement for the Old Town Jail building for a tea room and related retail. And is Casey here tonight, or are you? Okay, Mr. Bartosh is going to handle that item.
Need a motion for that?
Mayor,
Yes.
are we supposed to approve?
Oh, yeah, I guess we didn't,
I move to accept the city's comprehensive annual financial report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2012.
Second.
okay, Councilmember Pratt made the motion, Councilmember Norman seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Mr. Pratt, for the reminder. Okay, Mr. Bartosh?
Madam Mayor, council members, as you've probably been following this in the management report, when we finished the renovation of the old jail, the plan was to go ahead and advertise its availability and take bids and try and find a tenant who would provide a business that was kind of consistent with Old Town and how it's developing. We actually put out a request for proposals the first time and got no return interest on it. We extended that and got a little bit of interest on it, but nobody really submitted. So we had somebody who was very interested in doing something that contacted us, and that was Cindy Batista and her partner Christina Williams. Cindy owns Cindy B's in Old Town, and they are very interested in opening up a tea room at the Old Town Jail. They say the size works for them, and we were able to begin working on an agreement. We're not quite through with that yet, but we wanted to bring it to the council to get your approval on this lease and the mayor's authority to sign it once we work out all the final details. But Cindy and her partner are here tonight, and they may want to come up and talk about their concept a little bit more. But apparently tea rooms are becoming very popular across the country right now.
So we would invite the proprietors to come up and share a little bit of information with us tonight.
And lots of fun, too.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you for your time, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. We really do appreciate it. My name is Cindy. I'm Cindy Battisti, also known as Cindy B. And this is Christina Williams, who I met about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now. And she was living up in Washington in the Puget Sound area at the time that I met her. And she was here vacationing with her daughter. And we became very good friends. And she said, you know, about a year later, I'd like to move to Cottonwood. So a year after that, her and her daughter have moved here. They are residents now of Cottonwood, and her daughter does attend St. Joseph Catholic School. So we're very excited that she moved to our area, loving it as much as she did. So That's a big thing. Just a quick little outline. Our intent is to use the jail as a tea house, giftware, local artists, crafters, and nature environment, along with maintaining the jail cells. The tea house main room will be a parlor setting with displays of retail of vintage giftware and local art and crafts. The second room will be set up for tea, lemonade, along with local pastries such as cupcakes and sconces and tea sales. We did bring some cupcakes, so if anybody wants some cupcakes, we have some here tonight. The outdoor back patio will have tables with fresh herbs and flowers to create the aroma and the beauty, inviting people coming up from the jail trail. The grassy area will have bird baths, fountains, bird feeders, and seating areas with climbing roses and lavenders. We hope to attract many species of birds and butterflies into the environment. The front of the jail, we're going to create a small fenced patio with flowers and limited sitting for dog-friendly clients. So we're hoping to have that totally enclosed and have maybe about 4 or 5 tables there, and to keep that protected but still invite dog-friendly. Our name is to be Wild Rose of Historic Old Town Tea House. We will be featuring on the wall to the jail cells a photo gallery of the historic women who have inspired and are the backbone in the Verde Valley area, hence our name, Wild Rose. We want to keep the jail cells and just maintain them and keep that as a historic part of who we are. We will be hosting high teas, children's Saturday story hours read by our local teens, tea parties, tea leaf readings, tea room modeling, bird watching, guide, and information, along with our exciting other venues. We feel with the theme, the jail cell, the outdoor environment with nature, and our amazing teams, we will now be creating a wonderful destination for the city of Cottonwood to be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pratt?
Yeah, I have a question. What hours of operation are you looking at?
We're looking at that real closely. We'd like to be open early in the morning because we do know a lot of people aren't necessarily coffee drinkers, but are tea drinkers. We also want to continue doing it in the early afternoon to host children and family to come and do the jail walk and come and have a glass of lemonade or whatever. And then we're thinking maybe 1 or 2 nights in the early evenings for people who have early dinners and would like maybe some cupcakes and some teas for desserts.
Good, because I was thinking of something that's close to my heart for evenings. It'd be a perfect place for poetry readings.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We would love that. Poetry readings, a wonderful man by the name of Dennis had come into the boutique, and apparently he is an avid birder. And he said, you know, we would really like to participate, and we welcome him completely with that. We want to create the nature that invites birders and hikers and seminars, poetry.
I'll talk to you about poetry.
Yeah, definitely.
Poetry and cupcakes and tea, that sounds fun.
All of our cupcakes we'd like to have from the Cottonwood Verde Valley area. Though we do have someone from Flagstaff that her family's here, we may bring some of those in. But we'd like to have cupcakes from 4 or 5 different places so that there's a variety of things that you can choose from.
So it sounds like local business supporting local businesses.
Definitely. That's
a good concept. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Any questions, Mr. Hadigi?
I don't have a question, and this is no reflection on you ladies and such, but I want to reiterate my concern, my opposition to the city going into the landlord business. I don't feel we should be going in competition with the private sector. I've mentioned this before, so no reflection on you ladies, though. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the council?
I do have one question. Is the fence completed in the back by the ditch yet? Was that in the works?
I think they're real close to getting it done. They were doing some final work this week, and they were going to get it up.
Okay. And then one other question I had was, how did we come up with the lease payment? Did we do a market analysis? Or?
Yeah, the going rate is about $1 a square foot right now.
And the citizens of Cottonwood own the building, not the city, but the citizens of Cottonwood, so I think that this will benefit them. Yeah.
The city is the citizens.
Seems like it'd be a perfect fit for Old Town. I like the idea.
Are there any comments from members of the public on this item? If not, I entertain a motion. Mr. Pratt?
I move to approve Old Town Jail business proposal submitted by Christina Williams and Cindy Batiste. Sorry, Cindy. And to authorize staff to negotiate the final form of lease with the lessees to be signed by the mayor.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Pratt made the motion, Mr. Elinsky seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Mr. Hedige. Thank you very much for being here tonight. You have our best wishes.
Thank you.
To be successful. All right. The next item is request by Mingus Union High School, MUHS, for the city to waive planning fees in the amount of $3,270 for a rezone request of MUHS property. And we have Mr. George Gaylord with us tonight and also Mr. Tim Foist.
Mayor and Council, good evening. This is a request by Mingus Union High School for relief of planning fees associated with a zone change proposal that we've received from the district regarding what is basically a remnant parcel of property located west of Camino Real and just south of the First Street intersection. Specifically, they're requesting waiver of planning-related fees pertaining to a minor general plan amendment, rezoning, as well as design review totaling approximately $3,000. Again, this is regarding the zone change, the code review process, the community meeting process, the planning zoning review, city council review, and so forth, the staff time that goes into that, as well as the advertisements and public notifications and so on. And that's basically the long and the short of it. Madam Mayor?
Okay.
Madam
Also,
Mayor?
yes, Mr. Bartosh.
And I was approached by Superintendent Foist about this issue, and their interest is obviously in rezoning the property, is trying to increase the value of it so that they can sell it and hopefully gain proceeds to help support the school. Obviously, I told him I was not in a position to be able to waive these fees, that they'd have to come before the council, and so that's how we ended up here tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gaylord. We also have our school board president, Mr. James Ledbetter, here with us tonight, too. So, Mr. Ledbetter and Mr. Foist.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, Doug Bartos, Chief Fanning. I told Jim Ledbetter he couldn't speak, but he can if he wishes. I stand before you tonight asking for a waiver of fees. Why? For our school, when I came here, I had an $8 million budget. Today, I have a $6 million budget. That $3,270, Councilmember Pratt can help James Ball pay license fees for his next performance. It's difficult to be in public education now because of how we are looked upon by our state legislators. You as city members and council members go through the same thing that Mr. Ledbetter is my president and I go through, and then it trickles down to my staff. I'm asking for the waiver so that I can use the money on my school. Will you get that money back? Yes, you will. How? We know that that property today may be valued, we'll say, at $5,000 an acre. But with the rezoning, our quotes are $50,000 an acre. Now, how will that money be used for Mingus High School if the property is sold? I've worked with Doug. He has recommended people to come and look at our property for multi-family housing. They've put buildings up in Prescott, Flagstaff, and they're interested in our area. It'll put sidewalks along our street. There's a partnership talked about maybe with our tennis courts that sorely need great improvement, but I can't afford to do that. Our funds today are generated 100% by the tax funds from our community. We get no aid from the state. We get some federal aid, and that's it. Jesse's at every one of our football games. He's the only council member that I get complaints on. Because my first football game ever, 4 years ago, we scored 9 touchdowns. The next day, my phone rang off the wall because of the cannon being shot so much, and somebody's little dogs being disturbed a great deal. We work with great partners with the city. 4 years ago in March, you and I met with Chief Fanning when I interviewed. Cottonwood is home. It's a great place. You have grown it to where it's now listed as a place to come visit. You have grown it to where when I put a fence up 3 years ago, Chief Fanning said, that's the best thing you guys can ever do. And we did it. You read about that in the paper. You read about me for the first 2 years in the paper, almost monthly. But the last 2 years, we've got it going. Here's something you don't know about Mingus High School. Out of the 30,000 certified schools in our country for North Central approval, we ranked number 388. That happened last year. We were given that national award. 388 out of 30,000. I'd like to be in the top 5. But for a school our size, we now have people coming to us saying, how did you do that? I say, well, we have a really good principal. We have a school board that has allowed me to do things outside the box. And we have accomplished some great tasks. In our state, we're in the top 20% of our high schools. Tonight, our girls just won the semi-state, so they're now in the finals for soccer. But I'm sure somewhere in my school today, a kid got 100 or an A on one of his lessons. Academics are important. Athletics and activities are real. What I'm asking you to give me back tonight and collect from a person that buys a property to design it, as Mike Gardner says, he said, Tim, you're not going to build it and go into that business. No. But what you need to understand is you have infrastructure, a nationally ranked hospital in the top 5, and a high school that's now ranked with national recognition and state recognition. We have all worked together. I've had Rick Contreras on my school so many times saying, Tim, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. Both the chiefs. I've got Commander Gary coming in. We are a very good partner with the city. And I know my predecessor will keep that up. And I want to thank you. Because I guess as I retire, you have made Mingus High School better. Because when I read about you doing things, I challenge Jim Ledbetter, why can't we? Why can't we? And we have. So, I don't do this often, and I hate talking about retirement, but the person that I'm going to go retire with is right here. It's Kate. Can you stand up? That's the Kansas connection right there, guys. So, vote your heart, but remember that Mingus High School is your partner. We are a safe school. The academics at our school, I have my first high school senior graduating from Yavapai College before she graduates from our high school. That is because of the partnerships we have made with the college for dual credits and AP classes. Our national award came from growing our AP classes from 3 to 18. Our students can now graduate from our high school, save their parents about $60,000 in college fees with an associate's degree. It's never happened before, and we hope that those type of things continue. Mayor, I told you I was going to speak a little bit. Didn't know I was going to get a little salty on you, but it has been wonderful to work with the Cottonwood people, with council members, and the leadership that you have running our city. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank you, Superintendent Foist, for all you have done for the children and the youth in our community, the board, and you've done a lot in these, I guess, 4 years. And we'll miss you. Hope you come and visit from Kansas every once in a while. And so I'd just like to invite Mr. Ledbetter if he would like to say a few words also.
Mr. Ledbetter, a few words.
You said the same thing that the chief said to me as well. I'm just going to echo everything that Mr. Foist has said. There's a lot of great things happening at the school. You know, it is in the top 1 percentile, nationally recognized by the accrediting agencies. The kids are doing great things from theatrics through all the many programs. And it's a tough place, though, financially, frankly. Because, again, he's pointed out that we got to do more right now with a lot less. And there's a growing sentiment on the board, because when there are other events and other uses, the pool, for example, that expense is real hard for kids to come up with. For our swim team, and by the way, in the last 3 years, 5 kids have had national scholarships who are swimmers at Mingus. We're looking at the issue right now with respect to the use fees that the city charges for the pool. We may not be able to do it. The kids are going to have to raise the money themselves. It's tough. And, you know, when we look back at the bond and we add up the tens of thousands of dollars paid to the city when we did the construction on the bond, the point in time has come that we've got to do these partnerships. And I got to tell you, your city manager has been great in listening to these ongoing concerns. And frankly, we've had great people and great support from the community. And so as we move forward, we're going to have to be asking for more and more to keep doing more at Mingus with less. So we really appreciate your consideration on this. And Mr. Foist did a wonderful job. Thank you, Mr. Foist.
Thank you. Mr. Pratt.
Yeah, I'm probably biased as an educator myself, and I've shared a lot of your students, and I inherit a lot of your students, and it really is clear to me that Mingus is doing a great job. They really send us good people up to the college, and I always support anything we can do to support the school, so I'm in favor of this.
Ms. Norman?
Well, having worked at Mingus in the business office for 12 years before I retired, and having 2 grandchildren that graduated there and have gone on to 4-year colleges, I know how the school struggles. I worked in the business office, was a little involved in some of the budget stuff, so I understand that. I agree too. I think that this is something that the city could afford to do.
Vice Mayor?
I've had children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren are in the elementaries now, but I've had a child in Mingus, I think for the last, I don't know how many years. I've got a granddaughter there right now that's going to be 18 on Valentine's Day. And it's been a really good ride for all of my children. It's prepared them for, well, some of them went in the military, some went on to college. One's a teacher here in Cottonwood. So Mingus has been good to my family also. And I know that you're struggling. All the schools are struggling, and the state's not doing anything really to help us.
Mr. Elinsky?
I have some boring questions for George about the zoning.
Glad to be of service.
It's still going to be a public process, right, the rezone?
Yes. We're at the code review level right now. We've taken a concept preliminary plan from the applicants, and from there I anticipate we'll go to a community meeting. In fact, one's been scheduled for February the 15th, I believe. Beyond that will be P&Z and council.
Okay, so they're going from R2 to Something more dense R3?
It's an agricultural zoning right now, AR, I think it's 20.
Oh, okay.
That will go to, what's being proposed is an R2 zoning designation that could enable somewhere in excess of 150 residential units on 20 acres.
Okay.
That's the concept at the moment.
Okay. And does the general plan say anything about that specific area?
Not specifically. The current land use designation by the general plan is community facilities, basically an accommodation of the school itself.
Okay.
And the property that's presently owned by the school.
Okay. And so if it does go through, the city will still collect all the impact fees for anything that's built?
Yeah, that would be the back end of the process. These are the upfront planning costs.
Yeah,
those fees would be quite a bit more than that.
It doesn't seem like much for the city to help out the school in this case. I agree with it.
I think we benefit.
And I have a question. So it would be sort of considered a donation, is that correct, financially? And where would the funds come from? Does it come from, do we take them from a line item somewhere? Or, I mean, we wouldn't get paid, and how does that all work?
It just, there wouldn't be that incoming revenue.
Okay.
The fees basically offset the staff labor time, principally. I would say 90% of it. That's what it goes toward.
And I would venture to say, Mayor, that we're over our budget amount in terms of what we're anticipating for development fees so far this year.
Things have been a little bit better than we had expected. Mr. Horton?
Madam Mayor, this is a discretionary decision for the council, but if the council or the commission had initiated this rezoning process, or if the applicant was the city, the county, or the state or federal government, by ordinance, these fees would be waived.
Okay. I thought that the points made that the benefits to the citizens of Cottonwood after it's developed will far outweigh the small donation that we would be giving. With infrastructure, if it's apartments or whatever, there would be some income that would help pay for services, so it will only be improved by increasing the value of that property for the school and the city. So, Mr. Pratt? Are there any comments from the public? That would be very important on this item. If not, Mr. Pratt, were you going to make a motion?
I move to approve the waiver of planning fees for the rezoning of property owned by Mingus Union High School.
Second.
Mr. Pratt made the motion. Councilmember Norman seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 5, rejection of the proposed memorandum of understanding. Oh, did we need to make? We did a motion. Okay. Have a great retirement. We'll miss you. Rejection of the proposed memorandum of understanding with the Northern Arizona Council of Governments, Area Agency on Aging for the Section 5317 grant funding for a regional taxi voucher program. Mr. Faust.
Honorable Mayor and Council, tonight's information in front of you again is staff is recommending that Council reject the proposed 2012-13 Section 5317 New Freedom Grant for the Cottonwood Area Transit and Verde Link Systems involving funding for the Taxi Voucher ADA Plus Paratransit Services Program. This program was for a period of July 1st, 2012 through June 30th, 2013 as described by both NACOG and the state of Arizona ADOT. One of the things I'd like to be able to just go through is just a brief history as it pertains to this grant and how...
Can you hang on just a minute? Gentlemen, thank you.
Is just how this grant had originated. In January of 2012, we were contacted, staff was contacted by the Northern Arizona Council of Governments stating that we might be interested in this grant in order to continue on with what Northern Arizona Intergovernmental Public Transportation Authority was currently implementing as a trial program, and that was the New Freedom 5317 grant for taxi voucher systems. And so they indicated that we might want to file for this grant. We went ahead and followed through with that, thinking that that would be a good arrangement. However, by May and June of that year, we actually were looking at a challenge pertaining to the specifics of the taxi voucher program through the requirements of both NACOG as well as DES, ADOT, as well as federal government regulations. So there were benefits to the program, but there were also significant challenges. And those challenges, again, I'll just go through those briefly, that we were looking at specific liability concerns as it pertained to the program, substantial contractual obligations that included requiring the city to subcontract with, oversee and accept responsibility for the performance of participating taxi service programs and providers. This would also mean that we would have had to have increased our administrative program and process, which meant probably hiring an additional 1 or 2 individuals within the City of Cottonwood transportation program. We brought this before the City Council in July, on July 17th of 2012, had a robust discussion. And the one thing that we wanted to make sure of is that we understand that, again, that this was a pilot program from NAPTA, and that there was a small grant. And again, the grant cost were minimal as it pertains to the actual amount and versus the actual taking on of a significant challenge on the behalf of staff, as well as the possibility of increasing staff. Council at that time period had requested that staff go back to the drawing board and take a look at this, along with, he also challenged NACOG, which was specifically the NACOG area director of the program, and that was Mr. Jason Kelly, at that time period, with possibly finding other avenues to where this grant might fit into. We were looking at that time even at the potential of the Verde Valley Caregivers Coalition, and by November and December, this was more of a meeting program whereby staff was meeting with NACOG, and NACOG was meeting with caregivers through their director, Kent Ellsworth, and trying to put this together and piece things together to where this would benefit the citizens the most and provide a win-win situation for the public of Cottonwood, thereby providing this opportunity as a New Freedom grant within the Verde Valley area. This actually has now come to fruition, and you have within your packet a specific plan by the the Verde Valley Caregivers Coalition, which identifies their opportunity of taking on this program, moving it forward throughout the Verde Valley and Cottonwood especially, providing those people who would be ADA plus qualified with after-hours service. And this would therefore meet the qualifications and criteria related to both ADOT and NACOG, and they're all very pleased about this process. The one thing that they're requesting is that staff would reject the current bid, and I had indicated to ADOT as well as NACOG that staff would not be able to do that, that would be up to the council, since council had authorized in February of 2012 for staff to pursue this grant. So at this point in time, that's one of the reasons why we're here tonight, is basically to provide this. Again, it is a win-win. This would be the Verde Valley Caregivers Coalition who would proceed with implementing this program in the fullness of the program, and whereby they would receive the grant funding amounts that were identified and move forward within the community and start implementing the ADA plus taxi voucher program within our community. And I'll take any questions at this time from the council.
Questions?
I don't have a question, I have a comment. I attended a meeting back in December along with Bruce Morrow, where several of the people that provide transportation in the area were there, and Mr. Ellsworth was there, along with Jason Kelly. And I was very impressed with Mr. Ellsworth. He's had experience in this area, and I think it would be a great asset for him to take that over.
Agreed. Thank you.
And they do all kinds of great things in that arena
They
for
really
their
do.
neighbors.
They really do.
Any other questions or comments? Now, I'm a little bit, if I get these mixed up for folks that want to talk, there's 2 items that you might want to talk about, but some have put down only item number 5. And so if anyone wants to talk about just this item, now would be your opportunity. We have Steve Hyatt, Nancy Scarangella, and Joyce Holliday.
Mayor, Council, those of us who weren't informed on the details of what was just shared, we were very alert and upset by our funding having been rejected. And now that we have the clarity just expressed, that kind of thing, we weren't thrown out with the wash water. That was our concern, and that's why we came to participate tonight. So on my behalf, and perhaps Steve, we encourage the continuation. And thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
And we simply have to reject it so that the caregivers can do the job.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so is that for Steve also?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, and then Joyce?
Just need some vouchers for these people.
Okay, so everybody feels the same as Nancy Scagnelli expressed. Okay, so I would entertain a motion. Councilmember Norman?
I move to reject.
Yes?
I have my name on one of those papers, but I had a question for 5 and 6. I don't know where.
Okay, are you Ann Barrett?
Marjorie Greenlee.
Okay, I didn't have a number here, so you want to speak about 5 and 6? And it sounds like Ann Barrett and Marjorie both would like to speak about number 5, so if you would proceed to the lectern, please. I apologize, I was a little bit confused.
You covered a lot of what I had written down, but I've only spoken one other time in public. It wasn't with the microphone or nearly this many people. And I said amen after I was through.
You'll do just fine, I'm sure.
Well, just I wasn't able to get to the other meetings because I had a hitch in my get-along. And but on the number 6 is Cottonwood area transfer.
We haven't discussed number 6 yet, though. So if you have a comment on number 5.
Oh, yeah, okay. Where, he kind of covered the question of where the original grant money came from, but when it wasn't in Flagstaff anymore, it was terminated here, where has that money gone? Like, where is it? Still in existence, or on hold, or it disappeared, or what?
So, Mr. Faust?
Yes, I know the state ADOT has still got it in reserve. I'm sorry.
Closer to the microphone.
State ADOT has identified that the funding is still there, and so they're ready to implement and move forward again in contact with Director Dan Harrigan of this 5310, 5316, and 5317 funding, as indicated very specifically, is that the council would have to reject in order for them to provide the funding then through to the Caregivers Coalition. So that's where it's at right now. The funding is there.
Okay, that helped. And this Caregivers Coalition, I'm familiar with the Verde Valley Caregivers, but I don't, are they just going to be like one group, or like have one taxi service, or what does this coalition do, or what's it going to do?
Okay, I can answer that question also. In the context of what the caregivers will do, they will act as in the same context of what the city would have. In other words, the actual organizing sponsor of the program. They will be the administrative as well as the operational key point to all of the programming. And so the funding will be provided to them, and then what will happen is there will be voucher systems that will be provided, and it'll go through the same context of them going out and receiving information directly from contractors, subcontractors within the community. That would be taxis, exactly like NAPTA was working their program, so it'll be exactly duplicated like what NAPTA was originally doing, and they would oversee the program. The city would be totally out of this type of a program operation. But again, caregivers would come in and do all of the Verde Valley, it means all of the county area, all of Cottonwood area, so that's what they would be doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
for
much.
this opportunity.
All right, and when we get to number 6, you may come up again and comment on that, okay?
Oh, no, I've said enough.
Okay. And what about, let's see, Ann?
I'm in agreement.
Okay. All right, Ann, thank you very much. Okay, so I think, let's see, number 5 is, I would entertain a motion, Mr. Alinsky, or you don't have your, oh.
Want me to go ahead?
Ms. Norman, please.
I move to reject the proposed memorandum of understanding with the Northern Arizona Council of Governments for Section 5317 grant funding for a regional taxi voucher program for the period of July 1st, 2012 through June 30th, 2013.
Second. Okay, Councilmember Norman made the motion, the Vice Mayor seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to also identify, staff can follow up with a letter directly to probably both Mr. Ellsworth as well as Mr. Kelly, but primarily through Mr. Harrigan down at the state offices there, waiting for that probably tomorrow. So if this council doesn't have any problem, I can follow through with that immediately.
Do we need to make a motion, or can we just do direction? So we would direct you to write those letters and take care of the communication.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, item number 6 is Cottonwood Area Transit CAT Paratransit Plan. And we have Mr. Bruce Morrow with us to explain this very long document that we got to read. 360-some pages to read for this meeting.
That was the short version.
Oh, okay. It wasn't all yours.
No, it wasn't all mine. Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, the reason why we had to put together this paratransit plan is primarily because we wanted to get the funding for the 5311 program. Part of the 5311 program requires us, because we have fixed route, to also offer paratransit. In the process, they also require us to put together a paratransit plan that describes how the operation works, how we go about doing the registration of people, how we comply with all the ADA requirements. I searched high and low and could not find any kind of a plan either done before NAPTA took over or after. So how they got away with that, I don't know. But under gun, I put together a plan that sort of encompassed all our policies and procedures for paratransit, all our applications that the folks that are applying to be on paratransit have, put together all the documentation that the state required for the paratransit plan so that we could have it submitted before the end of the year. So it's just, we're kind of doing this a little backwards because we needed to get the approval, but they also needed to have the plan in so we could submit the grant. So basically it's a conglomeration of all the policies and procedures that we had already established, but they were in multiple documents scattered all over the offices up there. So I put them all together and ended up with what you have now is a Cottonwood Area Transit Paratransit Plan.
And it looks like you covered just about everything that
I did my
a person
best.
could think of. We talk about double amputees and how you assist them, and baggage and oxygen and how large the containers can weigh or how much they can weigh? And
It's all in there, and basically they gave us a pretty good guideline to follow so that we could kind of check off, as we got each piece of the document together, which made it a little easier, but still it was an enormous amount of work to get it all put together in the time frame that we had while doing the grant.
Exactly. I did have a question on page 4. It talks about service animals and pets. And it sounds like the pet has to be in a carrier.
If the pet is, like a small dog or a cat, something like that, that is not qualified as a service animal, yes, it must be in a, it must be
So
in
a
a
seeing
carrier.
eye dog would be handled a little bit differently?
Seeing eye dog is a service animal.
Right. So if they have a German Shepherd, it's not going to fit in a cage. I mean, if they have a German Shepherd or a golden doodle or whatever and they can't see, they're not going to be able to put their dog in a cage.
But if the dog is a service animal, it is okay. Most service animals have been trained to lie on the floor and out of the way when they're on the bus. Small dogs and cats generally are not.
Okay, so you're talking service animals. There's a difference between service animals and what's the term for the other? I mean, a seeing eye dog is not, a service animal is sort of like, say, a person who might emotionally need that pet.
That would also qualify if through the procedure for qualifying for ADA, the doctor or caregiver specifies that that animal is for an emotional reason that they need to have that animal with them. When we went through the training at ADOT, one of the people talked about having a pet snake that provided them emotional stability, and that was qualified under the ADA program and guidelines as a service animal.
So it's not real specific, but it gives you room, it gives you wiggle room, it sounds like.
There
you
is
have a
a little-
policy, but you can also administratively, when you know a certain situation, okay, some things that help our citizens or our riders.
Right, and the thing is, it has to, we have to go through the process, through the application, and generally what I'm finding is that the caregivers here, the doctors and nurse practitioners and whoever's doing the qualifying are pretty good about specifying when an animal needs to be there for an emotional reason. And, they take that into consideration, and we do too. So it's not like we're going to throw everybody off the bus because they have a dog with them. If it's qualified through the application process, they can have their little poodle or whatever.
Okay.
Their little kitty, their snake. One case they talked about having a pet pig. Who knew?
I can picture a snake on a leash.
Yes, Mr. Horton.
Your question, Madam Mayor, under the ADA, the concept of a service animal encompasses emotional disabilities, physical disabilities,
all disabilities,
hearing impairments, so it's all encompassing.
My question is, there's two terms for dogs, I thought. There's service dogs, which might be, the emotional, but there's, for an actual seeing eye dog or a hearing dog, for someone that's hearing or seeing impaired, isn't there a different name for that?
And seeing eye dogs and hearing assistance animals, yeah, you can, those are subcategories of service animals.
Okay, so they're all service animals?
Yes, ma'am.
That's kind of my question, I guess, in a roundabout way. Thank you very much. And the other thing that just at the very top, it talked about additionally there are 2 taxi service providers at CK's, and I think that's CJ's, isn't it? Or is it CK's?
It's CK's.
CK, need a ride? Okay. And then I wondered about the Verde Valley Senior Center. They do some transit, and they just weren't listed.
Right, they aren't considered a taxi service like CK's or Tender Hearts.
Okay.
Or AVI. There's a number of them that have come up since I wrote this document that might qualify as service providers. Those were the ones that I knew had cabs that were wheelchair accessible.
Okay.
So those are the ones that we were using in the taxi voucher program, and those are the ones that I listed in this document.
Okay. And then the very last 5 words of the previous paragraph, corridor around outfixed routes?
Yes, ADA as a requirement, because we have fixed routes, there's a corridor around those fixed routes. It's 3/4 of a mile that we're required to provide ADA service through the paratransit.
And is it outfixed routes? Outfixed?
It's supposed to be
Our fixed routes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I just wondered what's an outfixed route, so, okay.
It's out there.
It's out there. Well, it's terminology sometimes we're learning. We haven't served on all the committees that Councilmember Norman has, so I thought maybe there was something an outfixed route.
I'll make sure that gets corrected in the next version.
This looks like a really wonderful document with a lot of work, and it just is it's a plan or a guide on how to run the system.
It's basically the guideline that we operate by. We've been kind of going at it sort of piecemeal to a certain extent until we got all these procedures in place. Now they're in place and we can move on from there.
Excellent job, it looks like to me. So any questions or comments? Councilmember Norman?
It's not real important, but I just have a question. On the cover page where you're talking about paratransit plan, it shows a picture of the bus. Underneath the bus, it says, getting you where you want to go. That's NAPTA's saying. Are we still using that?
We're sort of borrowing it from them.
Okay.
We're still getting people where they want to go.
Right, but I didn't know whether there was a problem with us using it now that we're not part of it.
It's not copyrighted,
Okay.
and it's actually part of the picture, so.
All right, any comments? Yes, sir? If you would come up to the lectern, please.
Now, is this voucher program, we're still going to have to use CATs, or is this, or can we use a voucher program all the time? Is this just strictly after hours voucher, or do we have to use CATs in the daytime?
We're still working on it, but the voucher program is really a supplement to CATs. Where you can use CATs, we expect that you're going to use CAT, whether it be fixed route or paratransit. The taxi voucher program initially was designed to be a supplement to CATs, providing services where one of the examples I was using today in talking with Kent Ellsworth, where we have people that need to go shopping and they need to carry 10 bags of groceries or 15 bags. That's outside the service that CAT provides.
Okay.
So that would be a case where a taxi voucher would come in.
Yeah, because that's the main reason, because I can't be lifting anything more than 5 pounds, and Friday, or it was yesterday that I was told that the drivers cannot help me take the groceries out of the cart and stuff like that.
And that has been part of the paratransit policies and procedures since before I got here. The problem we've had is that there hasn't been really a plan in place to get that information to everybody, and now I've got it all neatly bundled. I know it's going to be going out on our website so that you can download it anytime you want, and anybody that wants a copy, I can certainly print one off at our office. You can come up and pick one up there.
All right, thank you very much.
And sir, your name was for the record?
Steve Hyatt.
Steve Hyatt, and you have your form signed. Thank you very much, Mr. Hyatt. Yes. Ann, come on up. Ann Barrett?
Yes. I just had a question. The evening hours and the nighttime is really very important for us because life does go on after 5 o'clock. And especially on weekends and things like that. There are a lot of community things that we would like to go to. I want to sign up with the college and go and participate in some of the things that are going on there. You have all these high school programs with games and parties and suppers and breakfasts and all these things that we would like to participate in, but we have no access to it. And particularly on the weekends, there's nothing for us. And it would be nice not to have to put my nightie on at 7:30. I would like to go someplace. So, you know, if this program would help us in a social aspect and not just think about us as eating and going to doctors, it would be so beneficial to many people. You know, I mean, just to get us here tonight was one phone call and 5 of us came. You know, we're delighted, and because they came and picked us up. Otherwise, we couldn't even get here. So, you know, these things, a new tea store, that's my cup of tea. I'm Irish, my God. I'm going to be there. So, you know, remember that part of us and not always think about, you know, food and carrying packages and things like that. We do want to have a nice social life. We can add a lot to the community. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. They're very much appreciated.
And I'd like to follow that up. Obviously, CAT is not going to remain static as it is now. We've been working on a number of different plans to increase the hours, for example, to provide Saturday service for both the fixed route and the paratransit. There are a number of issues that we can probably do something with. If I can figure out a way with working with ADOT to get the funding for it, then we can make these things happen. The taxi voucher program will help assist in some of those areas that we can't currently cover. But rest assured, CAT is going to move ahead, and we are going to provide more service. It's just a matter of getting the funding and making sure that everybody's happy with how they have to get along with what we have to offer. I need to go through this process with the city of Sedona, for example, when I changed the time for links. So there's a lot of organization that has to go into making a major change, like adding a new route. It's a process, so bear with us. We're working on it.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public on item number 6? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Are you able to come to the lectern? Okay, if you could just speak loudly.
Okay, the part about the service animals, what about people who are ADA and they need to take their dog to the vet? She's 55 pounds. She won't fit in a crate. I cannot pick her up in a crate. How am I supposed to get the dog to the vet?
So, do you have an answer to that?
I don't have an answer to that right now, but I can certainly ask. That would, again, it'd be under the current regulations that I have to deal with. The dog would have to be put in a kennel, and then before bringing it on the bus.
Well, she's been on the bus before. There's never been a problem before you came along. She was allowed on the bus with, I'm not saying nothing bad, it's the truth. She was allowed on the bus, she was leashed, and she just laid down, and that way I could take her to the vet. But like I said, for me to pick up a 55-pound dog in a kennel, if the drivers aren't supposed to be, you know, coming out and doing that, that's part of their job, then how are we to do that when it's not a service animal or a mental service animal?
We can probably work around that. There are a number of options we could employ to take care of that. Again, it's something that I have to go back and talk to ADOT about. How do we deal with these kinds of situations, because nobody had brought it up before now. And so our plan is always in a state of flux. So we can make changes to the plan and to the policies as we go along as new situations come up.
I mean, the dog can be muzzled. There's all kinds of ways to keep people safe if they're nervous. You can muzzle a dog and it can't bite you. You know, there's all kinds of ways of working it.
And again, those are things that we can take a look at. I'll be taking this all to ADOT, who is my ultimate authority when it comes to these kinds of questions, and make sure that we have an answer for you. And I'll post it out on our website.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Let me get back to this. Okay, so we need, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the Catalinks paratransit plan as presented.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Bielinski made the motion and Mr. Pratt seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council.
Thank you for writing the plan. It's appreciated. It's good plan. Okay, ordinance number 592, amending the municipal code by deleting Title VI animal. Did I miss one?
Number 7.
Oh, sorry. Consideration of a construction manager at risk pre-construction services agreement with Felix Construction for the Riverfront Water Reclamation Plant. Mr. Bartosh, I think you were going to start that one.
I will, Madam Mayor, since Mr. Luter is vacationing in Hawaii. But I do have a few of his staff with us who can help me through this process. As council will recall, we originally signed a pre-construction agreement with PCL Construction. The city felt that they did not perform up to what our expectations were, so we canceled the contract and rebid it for a construction manager at risk. And again, this is
grab that door, please.
This is really at the point where we are again selecting a contractor to do the pre-construction services for us, and this was a qualification-based process. The company selected, Felix, was the top qualifier. Staff negotiated with Felix for pre-construction services and agreed upon a not-to-exceed amount of $64,954. So they are here tonight. We are simply asking, well, not simply, we're asking the council to approve the contract with Felix Construction for pre-construction services. And Archie Lopez is here tonight from Felix Construction. And again, we have staff. Anything you want to add to my presentation, Roger?
No, sir. I think you did a fine job.
And obviously, we've been through this once before, and now we're back at kind of the beginning of the pre-construction services. So
we're just kind of changing our method from
just that point of
to
clarification. We had a design build team.
Design build manager at risk.
We retained the engineers to continue the design work, and now Felix would be contracted to join that process early on to lend some input as to constructability, value engineering issues, and the experiences that benefits the city in the long run, to have the contractor on board earlier on during the design process, so the project is designed in a way that the contractor can economically build it.
In a nutshell, I mean, can you help the public understand the difference between the design build, maybe you just said it actually, but the design build and construction manager at risk?
Yeah, the primary distinction is with a design build, then we are contracted with one entity that's a design build team, and in construction manager at risk. They're both processes where we get the design professionals and the folks that are actually going to construct the project talking together earlier on in the process, so you don't have plans that a contractor then comes in and sorts through and has to iron out as the project's coming out of the ground. With design build, it's one entity of design professionals and a contractor you're contracting with to deliver the project. In construction manager at risk, you contract separately with the design for the owner, the city, is contracted separately with the design professional and the contractor first during the design phase, and then if we can agree on a price for the project, then we will enter into a phase 2 construction phase contract with the construction manager to perform the project. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and we've had already an example of this that worked well for us, which was the recreation center, was a construction manager at risk project.
Correct.
And so the design build didn't work too well for us. We know that construction manager at risk is something that succeeded for us before.
In this experience with our first attempt at the riverfront project, I think it was cost concerns that primarily caused us to rethink that contract and that contractor. We were being assured that we couldn't get the project delivered for what our staff and our engineers were sure we could get the project for.
Mr. Ilinsky?
Do we have, it's not a question for you, Steve, probably, but do we have any idea roughly how much money it's cost, if it cost any, to change the procurement process at this point? I mean, have we lost anything but time?
I can actually answer that. There was a design budget, and I believe the amount of money to get through the design phase, we continued to contract with the engineers, with Wood Patel, to finish the design work, and for what Felix has agreed to perform the design phase services of the CMAR, it is within the original budget for design.
Good, okay.
And CMAR is construction manager at risk.
Yes, ma'am.
So at this point, the cost would be staff time to redo the bid process.
Okay. And then just another question is, does Felix have the same cost concerns that, it was PCL, I think that we had?
Yeah, PCL.
Do they?
I think it's probably too early for them to know for sure, but they're well aware of what the budget is.
Okay.
And so would you like to share any information, either about your company or the project?
Well, good evening, and it's good to be with you this evening. Just like to thank the staff for, it was a very thorough and rigorous selection process, and so we were very happy and excited to have been the selected contractor. We have many years of experience in the CMAR process, primarily in the Valley and recently in the Kingman area and throughout the outlying areas of Arizona. So we understand how the process works. We understand that it's, at some point we have to roll up our sleeves and get to work and find the real cost of the project, and also find those cost-saving ideas and areas early on, so the design team, your engineers and architects, can make the adjustments early on in the design process so that you don't impact the costs, in order so it's not too late to go back and change things, which costs the city more money. We're prepared to do it. We understand there is a budget, has a past. We're a fresh set of eyes, and we're brought on to basically start this process of finding the cost for your project in today's marketplace. And the process is very thorough. It takes several months, but at each step of the way, 30, 60, 90%, you will have real cost in today's market, and costs that will involve the staff, the architects and the engineers, so that we're all working together to come up with a guaranteed maximum price at the end that everyone is happy with, and then we go build it. So.
Questions, Mr. Pratt?
No, not questions, just a comment. I was comforted by the fact that we did have 5 to choose from, so it gave us a good variety. I think we had 5 really quality people on the selection committee, including someone who doesn't work for the city, but is done business with the city and in the city. So I think that part of it was really complete, and I think that suggests that we probably got a pretty good firm here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council or comments? Any questions?
Well, I'll jump in there.
Mr. Dowling?
I guess I would say the last experience made me a little gun shy about this whole thing, and it's sort of like, I realize that we're working with the city's money here, and it's the citizens' money. And so, I tried to do some due diligence myself, and you guys got a good rating with the Better Business Bureau. and I couldn't find anything lurking on the internet about you. So, it all looks good from here. I just really hope that, we can get through this the way it should have been the first time, and, it benefits everybody that way, I think, in the end.
We understand, and I think we are here primarily because of our reputation of the work we've done for other municipalities, other private developers, and other smaller communities. So we're really looking forward to doing this project, and I think it's going to be a project when it's all said and done that we're going to be very proud of to have built, and I know your community will be very proud of. And also, we're excited to come and make an impact, a little impact in the community as far as the economic contribution with housing and putting people to work, and enjoying your restaurants, enjoying the cupcakes. The cupcake ladies here. I know I'll be coming up for that at some point. So, but yes, we're very excited to.
How are you with tea?
Tea as well. I'm primarily a coffee drinker, but my wife's a tea, so I'll have to bring her up to enjoy the tea.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
In Mr. Luter's absence, I think I can assure the council that we would not be before you with this proposed agreement if he had not been assured and he wasn't confident that he has communicated with the contractor what the council's established budget for this project is, and he received enough assurances as he could receive at this point in the process that they could bring this project in within the city's budget.
That's very important to our citizens. Troy, did you want to come up to the microphone and comment?
What I had to say was an exact repeat of what Steve had just said, was that the budget, I kind of guess, overwhelmed most of the questions throughout the interview process, the SOQ process, and this is the firm that was selected just simply because they demonstrated the most ability out of all of them to bring that project in under that budget.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, any comments from the public on this? If not, Mr. Pratt?
I'll make a motion.
Please.
I move to authorize the city to enter into a contract with Felix Construction for pre-construction services on the Riverfront Water Reclamation Facility project for a not-to-exceed amount of $64,954, subject to the negotiation and approval of the final form of agreement by the city attorney.
Second.
Mr. Pratt made the motion, Mr. Elinsky seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carried.
Opposed this project since the beginning because of the location of the project. No news.
Okay, with
no
one...
reflection on the company either.
Sure, understand.
With one no vote.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I just would again like to bring up the fact that we did have a very respected community member, Bob Backus, on this team. And I would like to thank him. He doesn't get paid. He volunteers his time to do this. And thank him for his service. Okay, animal code. Item number 9. Ordinance number 592, amending the municipal code by deleting Title 6, Animals, in its entirety, adding a new Title 6, Animals, and amending Section 112010 of the Municipal Code, first reading. And I think we have Commander Eisenga with us tonight.
And actually, Autumn Gurney is here as well. Madam Mayor, members of the council, this has been going on for several months, and I know we brought this to you for a couple of work sessions as well. I think we've got all the bugs worked out with the help of Steve Horton and an independent attorney as well that reviewed this. And then Autumn is here to answer any questions you might have in regard to the new Title VI.
Okay, I do have a question. I did speak with the city clerk again today on this item, and there's the ordinance still will make her a criminal, essentially. Is there not any place in here that we could say that a person like her or any other citizen could feed animals, feral animals, I guess, on someone else's property with their permission and with the working with animal control? and getting their permission also. So it would be up to you guys to say yes or no. But that there would be opportunities for people like that to feed on private property.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, the way the ordinance states with what we're proposing is this does not make her a criminal.
Okay.
This does follow under the 6.08150, and that is the CATS TNR program.
Right, and I read
With that program, with a property owner's permission, citizens are more than welcome to feed feral animals within the parameters to keep everybody safe. And the safety was the #1 priority for this. And by doing this under a TNR program, instead of just a citizen on their own just going out and feeding, we're assured that not only are we protecting the citizens who don't want these feral animals on their property, and they do not want the feed left in the alleyways and at the businesses. So we're kind of encompassing everybody. Okay. And we're really trying to reach out and make sure that all parties involved are protected and satisfied to a degree, the best that we can at this point.
So essentially, a person can come to you and work with you on their issue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this gives us the leeway to work both ways with the people that are fighting against it and having the problem of essentially dumping on their properties, as well as the people that are more than happy to have these colonies and protect them and take care of them.
Okay. So as long as people who are doing that are not criminals, I'm okay with it.
Right. As long as everyone's being responsible and we're not trying to offend anybody on either side of this. Absolutely.
Right. Any other questions or comments from council? Any comments or questions from the public? If not, I would there's no motion, it's the first reading. So City Clerk, please read ordinance number 592 by title only.
Ordinance number 592, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona, amending the municipal code by deleting Title VI Animals in its entirety, adding a new Title VI Animals, and amending Section 1.12.010 of the municipal code. Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for your work on this. It's been a long time coming.
And I'd have to say that Autumn worked very hard on this, and I'm very appreciative of her efforts.
And so are we. Thank you, Autumn. Okay, item number 10, resolution number 2680, calling for an election on a proposed adjustment to the city's base expenditure limitation, setting forth the language of the ballot question, establishing the date of the election, providing for the manner of the election, and setting forth the deadlines for registering to vote in the election, and for the submission of arguments in favor of and in opposition to the proposal. Who's covering this tonight, Matt?
Sure, unless Rudy wants to.
Rudy?
I'll cover it.
Okay, Mr. Rodriguez?
Mayor and Council, you may recall on January 15th, we came to the council about a change in our home rule way of getting our expenditure limitation extended. Traditionally, we come back every 4 years, and we request that the citizens approve our home rule. This year, we're doing a permanent base adjustment. What that will do for us, it will increase our base, much like the home rule will. However, we have no need to come back every 4 years. The only time we would have to come back to the voters is if we need to expand it or contract the base. And what this resolution is basically doing is asking the council to make a call to the election so that we can go ahead and put this on the ballot. And the election would be May 21st of 2013, and we're just asking council to go ahead and put it on the ballot for that particular date.
It's a pretty simple request. Any questions or comments from the council? Any comments from the public? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2680.
Second.
Councilmember Norman made the motion, the Vice Mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. City Clerk, please read Resolution Number 2680 by title only.
Resolution number 2680, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, calling for an election on the question of a proposed permanent adjustment to the city's base expenditure limitation, designating the date for election, and designating the deadlines for voter registration and for the submission of arguments for and against the proposal.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to point out that the submission for arguments in favor of and opposition of the proposal is due February 20th.
Okay, so for members of the public, if you would like to write something for or something against this ordinance, you have until February 20th. 20th? Yeah, it's right here, but I want to be sure, to get that into the city clerk's office. Okay, thank you,
Mayor,
Mr.
Council.
Rodriguez. If we could, just go ahead and move up the claims and adjustments and get that out of the way. Mr. Pratt?
I move we approve the claims and adjustments.
Second?
Mr. Pratt made the motion, Councilmember, Vice Mayor seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 11, ACRD. What does ACRD stand for?
Arizona Civil Rights Division.
Okay, cult versus discussion, consideration, and possible legal action to approve a proposed settlement agreement and consent decree. Pursuant to ARS 38-431-03 and/or A4, the council may vote to convene an executive session to consult with the city attorney and other city officials regarding this matter prior to taking legal action. And I missed the word city, so please add city. ACRD cult versus the city, I apologize. So I would like to ask council to consider going into executive session to get legal advice. Okay, to convene. Okay, so the mayor made the motion, Mr. Elinsky seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So if the public would like to wait, Sure, okay. The mayor made the motion and the vice mayor seconded it first. Okay. And we are on, get my agenda back out here.
The attorney was going to read.
We are on item number 11. And so I would seek the city attorney's comments.
Madam Mayor and Council, at this time, I think it would be staff's recommendation that the council approve the proposed consent decree that would settle the case of ACRD and Monica Cult versus City.
So moved.
Second, Mr. Pratt made the motion, the mayor seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item is executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431-03A3 and/or A4. The council may vote to convene an executive session to discuss a proposed intergovernmental agreement for fire dispatch services. I move to convene into executive session.
Second.
The mayor made the motion. Councilmember Norman seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.